Welcome to Bam Bam's Boom Boom Room, starring your host, Bam Bam, and frankly, whoever the fuck that I want.
All right. Welcome here to Bam Bam's Boom Boom Room, and today I have not only a smashing comedian, but also a close friend, Mr. David Kudzai Chifungo Jr.
Yes, you got it. You got it.
And you know what? You just sit comfortable and use the arm and then like keep a fist away. You know, just like you say to the missus, a fist is always the way to go.
I got you.
How you been, man?
Man, been busy.
Yeah, you are busy.
I've been busy, bro. Like it's what, April?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it's been like 12 months already. Also, like January was pretty long.
Yeah.
Because of, the politics and all that stuff that's been,
We can dive into that too.
all that stuff that's been, like in the news and whatnot. It was just, I just felt, bombarded, with so much, information, with all the stuff that's been happening in the States and having family there. Worrying about them and what's going to happen. And
Move them all here.
yeah, there's also that option, but, just want to see how things play out, But outside of that, it's so much has just been happening,
Remember, worry about the stuff that you can control and
No,
not the stuff that you cannot.
for sure. And that's the thing, with the comedy and some commitments I made the beginning of the year. That's why a lot has happened, I just promised myself I was gonna just grind a lot more, mics and performing and but the whole thing with me doing a brand new 10-minute set every Sunday, every week, and then I'd said that I was gonna, go on the road this year, and 2.5 months later I was on the road, since the beginning of the year. So yeah, it's a lot going on.
I'm going to fade like a picture of David Goggins in here. What, are you a bitch? Are you a bitch?
Are you bitching right now?
Who's going to carry the boats? Stay hard, David. Stay hard.
Yeah, man.
Sometimes I stare at my microphone for an hour before I have to go up, and I'm like, stop being a bitch.
Yeah, man. That was literally me at the beginning of this year.
You were being a little bitch?
No, I was just saying, just being more of the opposite of a bitch, because I just had to be realistic with myself and be honest with myself as far as what it's gonna take to reach my goals, and and I just kind of submitted myself to the goal and whatever it's gonna take for me to get there, and just being self-aware of where I'm at. How musicians can be tone deaf.
Yeah.
And
You were comedy deaf? You were laughing deaf?
definitely not, but I didn't want to be deaf about what it's gonna take and where I'm at. You know what I mean? Knowing okay, cool. I want to work on impersonations. I want to work on, every skill set that I already do possess, or every gift or every tool that I have, sharpening everything. So, and I just had to be honest with myself in the beginning of the year, and I was like, well, this is what I want to do, but what is it going to take, and just go all in. And I already knew that I have got, 45, 50 minutes to an hour now. I definitely have, I think a solid hour. So, but it's also stuff that I want to stop doing, you know what I mean? Because comics, you get tired of your own jokes at some point, especially when you've exhausted all the mics in the city, and you're like, damn, I don't want to retire these jokes before everybody else hears them.
Yeah.
And so let me get on the road. Let me go to different countries, different cities, and tell those jokes and shoot the special, and then get rid of them, so I can move on to the newer stuff, the better stuff. So. And that's what I decided to do, and that's what I'm doing now, and it's exhausting.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a really good goal, is to, as soon as get a date for the special, and then when that's done, that's like a milestone
Yeah.
to stop the old and then to start new.
Also chop it up.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And put it out online, and so yeah, that's been it for me. How you been?
Oh, I've been good, man. I've been good.
Yeah.
I've been good.
I saw you. I've seen you in a couple of gigs this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not as much as I should be seeing you.
I'll come down Sunday, maybe.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I gotta see you every night, bro.
Okay.
You gotta be out
Oof.
at these gigs every night, you know?
Mm-hmm. I will. I'll come down and I'll help out too on Sunday. We'll see.
Oh yeah. That'll be.
And that's
dope.
down at the Compass Bar on Østerbrogade in Copenhagen,
Yeah.
right by Paul Hemmingson's place, I
Yeah,
think it's called.
right by the traffic lights.
Yeah. Great spot. Great spot.
Oh, it's an amazing
New joint,
spot.
new
Like,
joint.
Yeah, man. I love that place, man. Like I love it. It's like, and the main reason I love it is because like I said before, like composite for me is like the gym. You know what I mean? Like I get to.
But it's one of them grimy gyms where you got
That's
like
what I love about
you
it.
got like 2 steroid guys in the back.
Yeah.
You got an old dude like shooting up heroin in the corner, and you got
No, we don't have people doing drugs over there. Just so you know, but yeah, something like that. You know. But yeah, just having like a place where you can, of course, try out stuff. Because for me, it's like more than just trying out the jokes in itself, but also like just like learning different like sides to myself. You know, how like if I want to try out this or doing act outs and this and that, like it's practice definitely. Like because you could write the joke and try it out anywhere, but with composite, like it's because sometimes it's not always packed, right? Except for last night and a couple of nights we've had before, but. It just, I don't know, like it just feels so much safer to try out stuff there. Whereas like with other mics, there's a lot of pressure, even though it's an open mic, there's a lot of pressure to perform, to like just kill. But also you're trying out new jokes, you know what I mean? So it's like, and sometimes it feels like people will, they know that we know how this goes, but sometimes people still kind of have that whole like, yeah, you still could have done better. Type of energy that they'll bring to you after, but you know that's Mike's. New jokes are supposed to bomb, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or go off if you're lucky, and then you go, oh shit, like.
or go in a completely different direction.
Or go in a completely different direction, like. But that's the thing. But with composite, like, that's a place where I'm so comfortable to do, and
you can be loose. You can be loose.
And I bomb differently over there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel any type of way aside from the intention I had. So, for example, like if I say, okay, tonight I'm gonna try and do an impersonation, right? And I know that I'm not good at it yet, so I know that this is not gonna go well, but I need to let it off. So when it doesn't go off the way I would have hoped, but it doesn't hurt me because I knew it wasn't gonna, you know what I mean? So whereas like when I used to have like great expectations, you know. And then it didn't go off, and I'm like, man, fuck, what the?
You don't have any fail-safe jokes for that? I kind of have a little bag. Like you can go like, oh well, jokes are like handicapped children in traffic. Sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. You know, so then you can kind of pull like a little retarded rabbit out of the hat.
Yeah. Of course, like it's one of those like nowadays I'm so in the moment of bombing or joke bombing that I talk about it. You know, soon after, like, I'll say something about it. Like, I did the, I did the suicide joke that usually works, right? And I did it at Knock Knock, and it was at the beginning of the set because it was kind of like a setup for the jokes to follow, and people didn't like. They didn't really laugh. Like the joke bombed. Like there were 1 or 2 people that got it.
But did you get the ooh?
Yeah, for sure. Sure. I got that. And I was like, if you guys didn't like that one, you're definitely not gonna like the next one. Let's get into it. You know? Yeah. So and then they laughed at that. But it's stuff like that where like you acknowledge the fact that the joke it wasn't that funny, or maybe you're never gonna tell the joke again, or fuck it, whatever. But if you acknowledge it, of course they're gonna, react to that because you also releasing the tension, right?
Yeah.
So
there's an art in bombing in that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Quick disclaimer for people: we used the word bitch just before, and I think I slung out a retarded, and there are other slurs like that will come out, but they are not meant to any minorities of sorts. We're using them because we're boys and we're zillennials, I think is the term, and we use those words, and we would never say them to those people because we don't feel that way.
No.
So now we got that out of the way. Now all the purple-haired people can watch us too. We're kind and loving people that tell really dark jokes at times.
Yes, we do.
Well, okay, Dave. Well, where are you from, by the way? Zimbabwe.
Yes.
The big wall.
The big wall.
The Great Wall, I think, is
Well, it's Great Zimbabwe.
Great Zimbabwe.
You know about Great Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, you were doing your research before I came on the show?
Nah, man, I'm history, man. I'm history all the way.
Yeah, man. I'm from Zimbabwe. And yeah, it's interesting because like I moved out of Zim when I was 18 to go to South Africa. And I was 18, 19. Yeah, somewhere there. Initially I was actually supposed to go to Australia. My brother was living in Australia at the time. And I was going to go there for school. And one of my other sisters, Audrey, she was living in Cape Town. Mm-hmm. And I'd never been. And I remember I was supposed to be there for like 3 months and then go to Australia. To study something I didn't really care about, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I arrived in Cape Town, and I was waiting for my sister in the city to come pick me up. And I remember, while I was waiting for her, I remember going, I like this place.
Cape Town?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then she came pick me up, and as we were driving on this road called Regent Road, and I'm looking around, I was just like, wow, so beautiful, and a far cry from my home, And we stayed in Sea Point, which was like, and where we stayed was like maybe it was like 200 meters or less from the beach, And like I fell in love with Cape Town instantly, and I remember I was like, I'm not going to Australia because I didn't really want to go to Australia anyway, because I don't know, like, aside from the fact that it's that far away,
Yeah.
but it was like I didn't relate to it as outside of sports, cricket, or in the weather.
Yeah.
Right. But
and
I
all the
wasn't
dangerous shit there.
And and that's the thing. I just wasn't attracted to Australia in any way. And I remember I had some friends that I went to school with that were there, and I remember asking them, hey, like, give me a heads up, like, well, how's Australia? And they're like, dude, don't make the mistake of coming here. It's like, we're minorities, and we don't feel like we'll never be a part of the society. So I was like, oh, okay, bet. And so, and I didn't go. And I was like, I'm not going to go. I'll figure out what I'm going to do while I'm here. But I was just having fun. I was a kid having fun, And I was like, I like it. I like this place. And
Australia is like Texas and England mixed together with all the best and the worst things.
Yeah, but like I wouldn't mind visiting.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely would like to go check it out. But hopefully, I'll probably go there with comedy one day.
Yeah, you could. I think you'd do good in Australia too.
I hope so.
They're a good comedy crowd down there.
Yeah, I definitely relate to them with the whole cricket thing because growing up in Zim, in Zimbabwe is a former British colony. Yep. So we grew up with the British educational system, and we had the education system, and we had we had rugby, cricket, and those type of sports, and I was cricket captain since I was in primary school, and then I went to high school, and I was cricket captain as well, and I love the sport. The funny thing is, when I was in school, I wanted to. That was my dream, to play for the national team. Like I wanted to make it. I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to play the sport, and I was obsessed with it, And then I got injured, and and then also interest changes as you get older, you know, like that was my dream. I was like, what, 13 years old, 12, 13, you know, and then as I got older, like, you know, things started changing. I was like, yeah, this is not it. And then I was like, yeah, I think I want to do music. And that's what I thought I was going to do. And yeah, like, yeah, things have changed, but I kind of relate to them as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, stayed in South Africa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
South Africa. Yeah, and we just before we turned on the mic, you told a good story about walking around in the townships.
Oh shit, yeah, Kailicha.
Oh yeah, I know those places can be rough.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, it's
Soweto and stuff like that.
yeah, but I'm not gonna lie, like it was fun, you know, cause my boy he is from Zim as well, and he's lived in South Africa for a long time, and he can speak Xhosa, right?
Oh, yeah.
and I can't speak. I can hear a little bit of it, but I can't speak the language, and he stays in Khayelitsha.
That's a cool language, though.
Yeah.
You got clicks in your language.
Xhosa.
Yeah,
Xhosa.
Xhosa.
Yeah, no, it's like I learned a few few lines, like how they say, "Ndiyakuthanda kaxiti."
That is so cool. Get white people to do that, they fucking choke to
Nah,
death.
they can't. I see people try, but yeah, they can't. But yeah, Kalichu was you know, the people are fun. I definitely did have that, man. Like I saw, yeah, there were just so many interesting characters, so many interesting people.
Was
And-
was poverty a big part of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, it's pretty. You know, the whole situation is sad because it's different part of the same city. You know, I was coming from living a few meters away from the beach, right? And then when I was down and out and I needed a place to stay, my friend said, you know, like this is not. I know where I stay is not what you're used to, but you know, you always got a home at my house.
Yeah.
And so when I got really desperate, I gave him a call. It's like, bet I'll come get you. And then I went there, and then now I was living in a different part of the city. You know, people are fun, but it's sad to see the
disparity.
the disparity, man. Like, it's sad. Oh, and here's the thing: it's their country.
Yeah.
It's their country. You know, I'm coming from a neighborhood that's predominantly white, right? And there's Sea Point, Bantry Bay, Greenpoint, Camps Bay, those areas. Like, it's where most of the rich people live, right? And of course, apartments are more expensive there and whatnot. And it's like Cape Town's like Miami and LA put together.
Yeah.
In one, right? And then you go to a different part of the city, and it's damn near like what you call it, Skid Row.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's sad, you know, that, okay, you know, just calling a spade, like, you know, people come to your country, take over, and now you live there, and they take the best parts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was sad, but outside of that, you know, it is what it is. Everybody knows what's up. It's like the people are just fucking fun and amazing, so full of life, and of course, like there's certain parts where, like, of course, there's like, you know, some violence, like any other ghetto or any other, you know, hood, because all hoods are the same for the most part. If we just gotta keep it real, you know, like
It doesn't matter what color you're
it
from.
doesn't matter what country you're in. A hood is a hood. Like, it's just what it is. So, but outside of that, the talents,
Yeah, of course.
the fucking music. You know, I remember, like, I would get into like a taxi. We're talking about taxis over there, right? I would get into a taxi and they're playing like some dope house music, and I'm a piano beats. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I'll never forget the first I heard this. I was in this taxi, and I heard this was back when John Legend had released "All of You,"
Mm.
right? And then I heard the I'm a piano version, the mix, a different mix, and I was like, "What?" I got goosebumps as I was listening to it, and I remember asking the driver, "Yo, like, who's the artist?" He's like, "Oh, that's my boy from down the street."
Shit.
And here's the thing: there's a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of that. Like, well, what people have heard as far as music is concerned, especially like Guguletu, Soweto, Kailicha, like and so many other neighborhoods, like in Durban, like the music that people go, oh, like Afro beats is like, man, you ain't heard a damn thing. Like
Yeah.
people do that like at home. There's so much of that, you know. And but yeah, like people don't have as many opportunities to make it out. It's tough, but the talent, man, is crazy. It's crazy. So I did have a lot of fun while I was staying there, and I was there for a year. Then I got back on my feet, moved back into the city. Um, yeah, and everything actually things just went fast after that. But yeah, like I enjoyed my time in South Africa, and that was just a year of 7. So for 6 years, I was living in the city. Um, Went to my first comedy gig, like live stand up comedy gig in the city, and I was like, I want to do this, you know, and I was like looking for more clubs, and at the time there weren't that many, and then eventually I got into comedy, you know, I got into comedy. Like it took me a year to get on stage. It took me a year from the time that I started writing because I was too scared, you know, and part of me was like, would forget it because I had real life shit going on, you know.
What was the club's name?
It was the first club I actually performed at was Ob's Cafe. I wanted to perform at a comedy club called Zula. It was Zula Bar on Long Street, and that's the first comedy club I went to where I saw live comedy. This dude that you know we used to share the apartment with, he also loved stand up, you know, and he came home one night and he goes, dude, I found a place where we can watch live comedy. I was like, oh shit, where? It's like this place in town on Long Street. And Long Street, for those of you who are listening who don't know, Long Street is like it's the most popular street in Cape Town. Like it's like just filled with like clubs, bars, restaurants, and stuff. All right, and it was like, yeah, it's only $30. It's like back in 2010, and so every Monday they had English comedy, so we'd always go and watch and watch and watch. And then I remember when I went in the day I decided that I wanted to perform. I went in and asked him. It was in the afternoon. I asked the bartender. He knew me from always seeing me there. And I was like, dude, like I want to get on stage. I want to give it a shot. It's like, well, the person you got to call is this. He's the one who runs the mic, August, and his name was August. And I called August. He's like, yeah, well, before you can perform at Zula, we got to see you first. So you got to go to a club called Ob's Cafe, and you got to call a guy called by the name Chris Steenkamp. And he's one of the writers for Loiso Gola's Emmy nominated show. I think what was it called? The Daily something. It was like the Daily Show, but the South African version.
Okay.
And but anyway, so I called Chris. He's like, yeah, sure, come through on Sunday and let's see what you got. You know, and I went. Like I was like what, 20 at the time.
Ooh, young buck.
Yeah, I was young, and I went and. I practiced these jokes like all day and whatnot, and then and then I went and I was mad nervous.
Shit, of course you were.
And I had my friends there. Luckily for me, like I actually had a great set. My first set, like I didn't bomb. I didn't bomb at all, and my friends were there, and I was excited. I didn't know anything about comedy aside from make people laugh. I didn't really know how to write a joke. I just knew how to say funny things. So I did my jokes, whatever. I did my 5 minutes. And I even did an act out, I think. I don't remember much aside from the fact that I was mad nervous. I barely looked at the crowd. because I was pacing up and down the stage. I was just walking back and forth. But he had, of course, told them like it's my first time, 20 years old, it's my first time on stage, blah blah. And yeah, it's like, so show him some love, and they did, and they did, and their laughs, of course, carried me through and gave me more confidence too. That's when I started like, looking at them a bit or whatever, and and then I got on stage, and yeah, he's like, whenever you want to come through, just come through, And Chris was super cool. Like he's my guy. Like he always helped me and supported me every single time. He even tried to get me to host. And I'll never forget, like quite a few mics in. At that point, I think I'd been doing it for like a year at that point. If I'm not, I can't really remember, but I just remember I did this show, and I did 8 minutes, I think, and I killed it. Like I had a great show. I remember my friend Fritz was there. He stays in Germany now. Well, he moved back to Germany. But he used to go with me.
That's good with a name like Fritz.
Yeah, exactly. It's so typical, right? So, but yeah, and yeah, we went to. I did the gig, and he was there. Fritz was there, and he filmed a bit. And here's the thing: I was at that place where before the show I think it started, was it like 7 or 8? I can't remember, but I remember me and Fritz being at a cafe, before the show, and we were just chilling, hanging out, having a beer, and he goes, he said something like, we joked about something. He's like, yo, you should make it a bit, and then I was like, I bet, and that's what was my closing joke. Something we were talking about like just 2 hours prior, and it killed. But at the time, like I was just in a different world of writing and confidence. That was I didn't care. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't. Like I didn't. I didn't have like insecurities and shit. It's that youthful energy. You know what I mean? So. And that night, I remember Chris was sitting in the crowd. I didn't notice him at first. It's only like when I was like, wrapping up, and that's because the light was so blinding.
Yeah.
But he was sitting in the middle. But it was the way, like, he was sitting back, like the way he was smiling, like a proud dad.
Yeah.
Because he was like, I remember the first time he was nervous and pacing, bro. Like, and I remember the confidence. And I was doing like I remember that set, like how I was like so calm, so chilled. The jokes were good. And I'd had everybody laughing from the beginning, and just noticing him in that moment.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh shit, like, I think I'm doing something here. And then after that's it, he came backstage. He's like, I think you should start thinking about hosting. I was like, oh shoot, and yeah, and then eventually I stopped doing comedy because I had to get a real day job. I had bills to pay. You're an immigrant, right? And I didn't have paperwork at one point, I remember. But South Africa, you make it work. Like, if you can survive Africa, bro, you can survive anywhere, right?
Francis and Ngannou shit going on there.
Bro, like, Francis' story?
Yeah.
How similar it is to mine? Jumping the border?
Breaking rocks with your hands.
I'm telling you, man, like there's so many stories. Like if people really knew the life I've lived, people like look at me and see me on see my Instagram or whatever, and people like tell me like I remember telling somebody something that I'd gone through once, at a point in my life, and they were like, they laughed, but it was like a very condescending laugh that. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, you lying. Like, there's no way that you've lived that life. You?
You're making it sound like 7 Years a Slave is like an instructional video and not a movie. No exaggerations whatsoever.
Yeah, man. It's
Amistad going on here.
It's type shit. Yeah, man. And
I love it, man. That's so cool.
But yeah, like yeah, so I had to get a real job, and I remember when I had to stop, the job that I was gonna work, I was working in the mall, and I was working from like 8:30 a.m. till 9 p.m. every day,
Jesus.
without a day off. Right?
Christ.
And I did that for was it 8 months straight without a day off.
What store was it? You remember?
Now it was like a kiosk. It was called Toy Toy. I don't know if they even still have like a business over there, but they used to sell collectible toys like your Dunnies.
That's cool. Yeah.
Bear bricks and shit like that.
Yeah.
And and it was like one of the few companies or like businesses that sold collectible toys in South Africa at the time. Shout out to Earl. he owned the business and eventually he opened up a store and he had that kiosk in the mall. And he had it at the Waterfront Mall. So it's like one of the biggest touristy attraction destinations or whatever. So and I was working there like I was doing 12 and a half hours a day.
Oh.
Right? But the money was good. Definitely good, like especially compared to the fact that I was doing comedy. I was like a broke comic. Didn't have money. I don't even know how I survived during those times. Aside from my sister helping me out every now and again. But so I remember he told me, and I remember he begged me to not stop doing comedy. He's like, kid, you're doing well. You're doing great. I promise you, if you stop picking it back up, it's like starting all over again.
Yeah, it
is.
is.
Made so much progress, but the thing is, I needed money to survive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and because I was working 12 hours a day, by the time I was done, like if I was to even make it to any gig, it's second half is about to close. You know, and I didn't necessarily have time to even work on the jokes because you had to work all day till nighttime. So,
and you're tired in your head.
and you're tired and stuff. So I had to stop. And then when I decided to pick it back up again, Chris was right. Dude, like I was just as nervous as I was the day.
Re-virgined.
It was bad. So I learned like with comedy you gotta stay active. You have to.
Yeah.
You know. And you?
Oh man, I started at like 42 or something like that. I'd been playing music since I was 15, 16 in every sort of genre, like from pop rock to hardcore metal to rap, and just been on stage my entire life. So getting on stage and being in front of people was never a problem.
Yeah.
I've always been the kid in the center type thing.
Yeah.
You know, kids are cruel when I came to Denmark in 92 at 12.
Yeah.
The kids are fucking cruel. And if you can't protect yourself physically, you got to be the funny man.
Yeah, for sure.
And being that funny man to be able to pass the jokes on and to make people laugh, because humor is the most disarming thing you can use towards a person.
Yeah.
Like if you had like General Custer at Little Bighorn against what's his name? The Apache Indian, if one of them had just cracked a joke, they'd be like, I'll leave your ass alone.
Yeah, like, man, they're good people, so let's leave them alone.
You could just picture that Native American going, why do cowboys always mark their sheep with red and blue stickers? Oh, the red ones are the ones that kick. That's some funny shit there, man. That's some funny shit. I mean, for me, that was getting on stage, just getting the jokes right was more of a, I sometimes kind of go happy-go-lucky. I love to roam off into subjects and see where they get me. Yeah. And that you can only get so far without having a dedicated set to it. Yeah. So I'm doing a bit more of controlling the environment instead of just scattergunning everything, you know, pulling out that 30-odd buckshot and just go, I'll just fire the gun here and see who I hit.
Just kick in the door, just guns blazing.
Knock, knock.
Shoot first, ask questions later.
Exactly. Just like an American cop.
Exactly. That's exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah, but I mean, so what about like comedic inspirations for you? Who did you have growing up and who do you have now? And do you see some of that seeping through into to daily life and how you live and how you make your comedy?
You know what's interesting was I didn't know the term comedy growing up.
No.
I just remember watching this British show called The Desmonds.
Yeah, The Desmonds. Yeah.
The Desmonds, the Bill. well, no, it's not that it wasn't funny, but like we grew up on a lot of because of my dad. Like we grew up on a lot of British television,
Of course.
and British humor and music and American television. But the Desmonds, Martin, Fresh Prince, Living Single, Family Matters, and all these like American sitcoms and British sitcoms and whatnot. One Foot in the Grave.
Yeah.
I like, of course, I knew what funny is, but I didn't know the term comedy, right? And at some point, I think it was Dave Chappelle's The Chappelle Show,
Yeah.
right? And this was like now in the 2000s, and
Revolutionary shit.
yeah. And I remember because back then before we had iPhones, it was one of those things where it was like, remember at first it was infrared.
Yeah, when you
then
had
the
to.
Bluetooth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, like from the time I was like in boarding school, because I went to boarding school for like 2 years, and during that time, I remember like dudes had like Chappelle's skits on their phones and stuff like that.
On that
And-
tiny ass screen.
Yeah, on the tiny screens, And I remember, like just enjoying it. And then the Def Comedy Jam videos, I started seeing a lot more of those. And that's when I was like, oh, this is a different type of art. This is not sitcom type of comedy.
No.
And that's when I was like, and I remember really genuinely, like, I know it's like cliche to say or whatever, but that's when I fell in love with being able to stand in front of people and just tell jokes for a living.
Yeah.
Because every like we also told each other jokes, but I didn't know that there's an event for it where people go and stand in front of people and just to hear jokes. And I fell in love with comedy, man. Like, and I was one of those guys. Like, I was consuming a lot of it, and I'd try to find it as much as I could. And I'd always go to like school and like tell my friends about. I'd recite, the jokes, but I wouldn't say that they were mine. I'd be like, "Oh, this is comic, but yes, this joke, whatnot." And
Become a chameleon first.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I didn't know of anywhere I could do because stand-up comedy wasn't popular at least in Zimbabwe when I was growing up. Now it is, right? Now it is, but back then there weren't. I remember there was one comic, a stand-up. I know one comedian, and I'd heard that he'd done stand-up comedy in Harare. But I knew him from when I was growing up in Zimbabwe because he always used to have the funniest Christmas ads and this and that. He made a lot of money, like, with commercials and stuff like that. But so that's why I was saying, like, the first time I went to an actual, like, live stand-up comedy show was in Cape Town. And by that time, I was like 19, 20, or I was 19. And yeah, it was... And here's when I said I realized I was gonna do stand up was after that first show, I was like, yo, and I had so much fun. And I remember that was the first time I saw Loyiso Gola. I don't know if you know him.
No.
He's a funny guy. And funny enough, like I was doing stand up with his younger brother. It was always like wild to me. I was like, dude, like the first comedy show I ever went to, your brother was there. He headlined it. Dude, I was in tears. Like he fucking like ripped up the place, And I was like, wow, And then the other comics that I've seen, I remember I tried to find other clubs, and I went to Woodstock. There was a neighborhood called Woodstock in Cape Town, and I don't remember the name of the club, but there was a comedy club there, or still is, I don't know. And I went there, and I saw some of the same comics I'd seen at the other joint, and I'm laughing, I'm having a great time. Some people weren't laughing, and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with these people, Like I was there having a blast. And then I went to another comedy club, and then I went back to Zula, and I saw a lot of, because there weren't that many comics at the time. And so I kept seeing the same comics and kept hearing the same sets. And I just had this moment where I was like, wait a minute, these guys aren't telling any other jokes. So this is just basically, this is like a script.
This is it.
This is a script.
Yeah.
So when I realized that, I was like, oh, I can do this.
The Matrix suddenly shut
Yeah,
up.
like exactly. I was like
You're waking up like Nemo going, I know comedy.
I kind of had like that moment in Severance where they just when they're in the elevator type shit, you know. And but anyway, and yeah, that's when I was like, well, if I gotta write a 5-minute script of jokes, then you know I think I can do it. And that's when I realized that I could do stand up. And then yeah, but I just still was nervous and still scared to give it a shot. And there was this girl I was dating at the time, just before I started doing stand up, that broke up with me. And at one point she had, you know, given me that whole like, yeah, you're never gonna get on stage type shit. Like, oh, you always talk about it type thing. And I remember that crushed me. It hurt. And then after we broke up, I had a chance to actually, you know, just discover myself and, you know, learn who I was and
give her a big fuck you going on stage.
And I did. And a year later, she was in the audience.
Wow.
Yeah, she was in the audience. And we had gotten back together because I wanted to prove a point that I did get on stage. And just so I could also break up with her. The way she broke up with me.
Wow.
That was it. I was petty. I was petty at the time. I was young. I'm still petty, but
I love that move though.
Yeah, I was, you know, and she you know, like I'm not proud to say it, but I'm just telling the story of what happened when I was younger. But it was one of those like, you know, when we got back together, she was like, "Oh, please don't do me like I did you," type shit. You know, and I was like. Bet.
Setup, punchline.
I was like, bet, you know? And for like, 2 months or whatever, like I was just waiting for the right moment and just.
Did you do the Chappelle? Gotcha, bitch. Gotcha, bitch.
Oh, man. Kinda. You know, but the thing is, you know, I was petty, but you know, hearing her cry over the phone just before I hung up,
made you feel good, didn't it?
Nah, like because I'm not an evil person at the end of the day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as much as, you know, that person had done me wrong and I was getting them back, hearing them cry made me feel bad.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to go through with it.
But it's because you're maintaining the equilibrium.
Type shit.
Yeah. Balance in the universe.
Yeah. And that moment, like, as I was, you know, ending the whole thing, I still felt bad, you know. Now it's like, oh, shit, like, you know.
You could have been more petty. You could have became an astronaut and then come back and then break up with her and say, it's not you, it's me. I need space. That's not my joke, by the way. That's not my joke, by the way.
That's such a corny dad joke. Like,
oh God, but it's so epic because it just defines pettiness at its highest.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to her in a way.
We ain't naming names.
No, not naming names. Of course, that person still hates my guts till today. But
yeah. You got her on social media? Is that it?
Fuck no. Fuck no.
Okay.
No. Hell no. Nah, not at all. Not at all. Because they hate me. They hate me, and I like some people I'll keep around. Like, I know they hate me. They'll never like a post. They'll never acknowledge everything they're seeing or the amount of work I'm putting in or whatever. Like, it's whatever. But I'll never I'll leave them there. Let it sink in.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, type thing.
Yeah, no, like I know God's gonna continue uplifting me, and I'm gonna continue doing better in life, and them not liking a post is not gonna stop God from blessing me. You know what I mean? Like it's only gonna get worse, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not.
Sometimes you gotta you gotta give people a front row seat to God's elevation of your life.
Yeah,
especially if they would pay, you know, for a front row seat to see your demise.
Well, I mean, you know, you made it. If people buy tickets to either have fun or to see you fail, they still pay tickets.
Exactly.
It's like the whole Conor McGregor thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Floyd Mayweather type.
Mayweather. Oh, fucking, I hate that motherfucker. I hate motherfucking Floyd Mayweather. Fuck.
That's my guy.
But I fucking respect him as a fighter.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
See, you know, so you're speaking from experience.
Exactly. I mean, and I know him as like one of the most amazing defensive boxers in the history, and I watch his videos just to get that technique down. But God damn it, I hate that motherfucker. I hate him so bad.
Yeah, you know, like I can dislike the person and respect the art.
course,
You
I
know what I
mean-
mean? But like I don't dislike him as a person at all because I don't think he's a bad person.
Except when he beats his spouse.
opponents.
His spouse or whatever.
I don't did.
I don't
don't
even know if he's convicted.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard
Allegedly.
stuff, but I don't know
Allegedly,
anything
yeah.
about the stories.
Nah.
But I think I've heard of those stories. But I never like read anything. I don't know.
And how many UFC fighters have the same rap sheet? So I mean, come on.
Yeah, like I mean, I definitely don't condone domestic violence in general. Like I think just everybody should just keep their hands to them fucking selves.
Unless they're getting paid for it, doing it towards someone that's just as
Oh, yeah,
dangerous. as they are.
exactly.
Yeah. Then it's a sport.
Yeah, listen, if it's consensual, like that's a different story. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, if I see somebody like, "Yo, dude, what happened?" Like, "Oh, dude, this guy beat me up." Like, "Oh shit, should we go get him?" Yeah, what happened? What happened? Oh, I was in a fight. Was it a boxing fight? Yeah, it was UFC. You signed up for it? Yeah, all right, cool. Then,
Cool, then, yeah.
you know, take your ass whooping.
You got
know what I mean?
paid?
You got paid? Yeah, I did. All right, shit. Nigga, you
Shut
good.
your ass up. Shut your ass up.
Shit, then listen, that I'll condone. Like, but yeah,
No, yeah,
where were we?
it was getting back to that respecting the
art.
skill and the
Oh
art.
yeah. And that's the thing is, you know, you in general, I think it's a good way to just be because it goes, you know, it goes with everything or anything else. You know what I mean? Like even in comedy, it's the same thing.
You
know?
become a better human if you think that way.
True, I think so too.
And
I
it-
think
it-
because it's like that live let live type shit, like where it's
Yeah.
like okay, just because I don't like the person, now I'm not even gonna acknowledge something good or great that they're doing. Nah.
Yeah, Hitler made great highways.
Oh my god.
Okay, we're not gonna go that deep. He's a shit person. Don't like him either.
Listen, I ain't Kanye West. Okay, we're not about to.
Oh, come on. Yeah, Kanye. I love Kanye's old shit, by the way.
I think a lot of us do. You know, a lot of us do.
But come on, how many artists do we say the same thing of like, oh, their old shit was so much better? And I also think that's a testament to us getting older. Yeah, man, I like their old shit. It's like, yeah, that's a typical old person thing to say. And, you know, I mean, we all think that we can get with the times and stuff like that, but sometimes we just get slightly left behind now and then.
True, but I think this in some cases there's an element of truth in it.
Of course.
You know, like for sure, like at least now, thank God, like I've lived long enough to see my childhood heroes, you know, change or grow, and some have, of course, have passed away. But as far as their arts are concerned, I've seen some of them, you know, like just not be in the same space creatively. And I feel like I have seen like artists where I'm like, yeah, but whether it's like, let's say rap music, for example.
Yeah.
There are artists where you can tell like the money and the fame has gotten to their heads to a point where they've become tone deaf. Like, dude, you really not making the same. Your music's not as great as it was that many years ago. It doesn't mean that we don't like you as a person. Of course, we're just talking about the art, right? And comics, I've seen it as there's very few comics that I feel like they still bring the same level.
Chappelle does.
Chappelle and Chris Rock,
Yeah, definitely.
like they're the most consistent when it comes to like their art form. Like when like Dave Chappelle will have jokes like or he had that joke, one of my favorite jokes from him, which is a thinker, and I love thinkers, right? How old is 15 really?
Oh, yeah.
Like you listen to a joke like that, right? And then you fast forward years later, and there's of course a lot of like controversy here and there, or people want to make a big deal out of something that isn't, or whatever. Fuck it. But I love how he's unwavering. I love how like he's committed to the art form, and he will still bring you thinkers. You still talk about, you know, and then you know he has that question where he goes. I can't remember which special it was. He said when he asked the question, he's like, "Do you think that gay people can be racist?" And the audience was like, you could tell there's a moment where the audience there, it's like a moment of almost like realization, but you know what? I never thought of it like that type of thing. Or and then of course people eventually say yes, but he still poses questions
Yeah.
that like, it's not just about posing a question, but these are questions about subjects or things that people don't really want to talk about, or if other people talk about it, like it just gets brushed off to the side, or people don't give it enough attention. And this is Chappelle after he's come back,
Yeah. After his hiatus.
and years later he's still the same comic. And
Yeah.
then and some musicians for sure they're still as good as they were many years ago. And but yeah, that whole like I like their old shit. I like their old stuff better. It definitely has, I think, an element of truth to it for sure.
I can't wait for like the younger generation to be like, oh, I like.
I don't want to know where the music's gonna be at that point.
I love Lil Pump's new old stuff more. It's like, what?
Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't want to. Like, I'm scared to, like even. Like, I don't want to know. But you're right, definitely about the whole like us getting older thing, because like I'm finding that I can't relate to like a lot of the music that's coming out now, and I find myself still listening to the older stuff, and you know what I mean. That's why I was like, damn, like it's interesting how one thing that will never change is human nature. We can have as much technology as we want. Human beings have been around since human beings have been around, and human nature is still the same.
Yep.
And I'm like, damn, like I really am turning into like my pops and my uncles and shit. I'm like, well, you kids don't know nothing about this.
Yeah. Come on, put on that Wu-Tang Into the 36 Chambers on that. That shit was music.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's I don't know, it's different.
Y'all mumble rappers.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm that guy now. So
when I saw Snoop say that about mumble rappers, it dawned on me that damn, Snoop got old. I mean, he's not looking old.
No,
With that green stuff keeps him young.
Yeah, for sure.
But just that sentence where he was really dogging. He was like, he's so right. And you just got to see, oh, Snoop's just like us. He grew older too, and he's looking at that rap music, and he sucked on his gold tooth and went, you should have been there with Suge Knight. And he was like, yeah, Snoop, we get it.
Yeah,
we get it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, man. Like it's it's time, man, and it's, like getting older is weird,
And when kids come into the picture, suddenly you look at that little empty vessel.
Man. Being a dad is like fucking. It's
every emotion all bundled up into one.
Man. I don't even know where where to start, but yeah, it's like it's so everything I heard about it, it is, and everything I heard about it, I've experienced, and I'm like, wow, like everything I heard about being a parent is so true. It is so true, and it's so rewarding. It's tough, it's stressful, but it's so rewarding, and the joy that comes from. I never like in this. I learned so many things that I hadn't heard about. I remember the first time was when we were in the hospital, and I'm hearing her crying. They're cleaning her up just before they gave her to me, and I remember the first thought and the first worry that I had. I was just saying, "Oh God, please, I hope she's healthy. I hope she's healthy. I hope she's healthy," and she was, and she is. But I remember how I didn't even think about that before, or even on our way there. I was like, oh, she's here. And then, in that moment, I'm like, I hope she's fine. That was the first worry for her that I had. Hope she's a, healthy baby. And also, I remember doing a gig. I think it was the first time it dawned on me, because I'd been feeling that way for a while. But because if I go out and I do a gig and then maybe we have drinks or whatever after the show and you know we're discussing the sets or we're discussing comedy or whatever, and I come back home, I don't want to go straight into the bedroom because I don't want to disturb them, you know, sleeping and all that. So I'll just crash on the couch some nights, and it's me waking up to her voice in the kitchen. What? Daddy needs to see this. Daddy's sleeping, you know. And then she'll come and like,
Pitter
wake,
patter.
yeah, and she'd like wake me up, you know. And she'll just stand there. Like I could, like my eyes would be closed, and I could just hear her just breathing, just looking at me. Just before she slaps me in the face, and I'm like, "Yo, like, what are you doing?" You know. But I remember hearing her voice one morning, and I was like, "And man, it's like the most beautiful alarm
The
clock
sweetest
ever."
music ever.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like all those things where birds chirp and it's just it's the sound of angels. It is.
Yes,
and
it
it's no
is.
matter what they saying.
It is. It is.
And that
It
never
is.
changes, by the way.
And that beautiful toddler voice, and man, and that's the thing. Everything has a last time, and I'm dreading, you know, her getting older because like sometimes I'm like I don't want her to get past this age, you know, but she will, you know, and that's why I'm also trying to document as much as possible because even when I'm on the road, like before I go to sleep, you know, like I'm just watching videos of us, videos of my daughter and stuff like that. And I'll just, you know, KO, and it's getting like it's gotten tougher now.
Of course
being
it
on
is.
the road. That's why like even with me being on this little tour, I spaced out the dates the way I did, to give myself time to come back home. You know, take her to daycare. You know, just be dad. Because when I'm on the road for like, especially when it's like 4 or 5 days or a week in another city, it's tough. It's tough. And she's like, we're on FaceTime. I miss you. You know, you're like, I'm like, oh man, like now I'm starting to, you know, it sinks. Just my heart just sinks, you know. And when she was like, you know, 6 months old, she couldn't talk. When she was 3 months old, it's like, oh, you know, like she doesn't understand what's going on, you know. But now she vocalizes it. It's like, listen, I don't want you to go. You know, I've had nights where I'm about to like go to a comedy gig. I gotta close, and she's holding onto my leg. Oh man, like I'm like yo.
Okay.
I'll be back.
I'll fuck you up. Hopefully this won't put a damper on the pod, but when you have a little girl, you are her first love.
Mm-hmm.
And every day she grows older is a tiny step away from you. Yeah, that one hurts, doesn't it?
Man.
Us with daughters, man, we know that shit.
And that's the thing, cause yours older, so I like there's you gotta.
Yeah, I share the wealth.
Yes,
I share the wealth.
Yes.
And you know, and one thing I learned, and you'll learn this too. A lot of the if you're saying you'll learn this, that when they're younger, you're like, oh, first boy that comes along, you're gonna do that whole Bad Boys thing with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence being out there with the Hennessy and I just got out of prison, motherfucker.
Yeah.
But you don't do that because it puts things into perspective. Where I brought this girl up well.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna make the correct decisions.
Yeah.
And I remember when my eldest came home, and of course there's the question of when they're going out with boys. And my only question was everything your own choice? Whatever you did, I don't need to ask questions. And if it wasn't, do you need to talk about it? Do we need to? Yeah. Do I need to call my 2 a.m. buddy? And get a shovel?
Yeah.
But if everything was your choice and you're satisfied with that, and you're okay with that, then that's the way to bring that up with them, because it's one of those things. As soon as you start forbidding kids things, it gets stupid.
Yeah, because also you don't want to take away from their experiences, their first experiences, their happiness, because we want nothing for them but the best, and for them to be happy, to feel happy.
Yeah.
And it feels like when you then like are the reason why they can't experience their joy. Like it's kind of like counterproductive in a way,
Exactly.
like right, like so. But that's actually a good way to put it. Like,
And then you teach her the tie clinch. That's the hug up the guy and then the knees up to the rib cage. That'll be fine. Don't have to give him to the balls. You could if you want.
yeah. If you have to, you have to.
You have to, yeah. I mean, but you know what? You're gonna enjoy that, and like,
Yeah.
and if you ever need advice and stuff like
For
that,
sure. Like I know who to call.
yeah,
Ghostbusters.
I'll do my best. I'll be your I'll be your 2 a.m. buddy.
Yeah, for sure. You
It's
already
like,
are.
are we
so.
taking my car or yours? Do we need plastic bags
You
and a
got the
shovel?
duct tape? I got duct tape.
I
I
got
got
duct
duct tape. I got We'll just get on
Does
there.
the Pope shit in the woods?
Oh man, you don't gotta gag him. He's out.
He's out. He's out.
He's out.
Oh, okay. Hey, bring detergent.
Go fucking what's his name? Walter White and Jesse Pinkman. You got the drums?
Yeah, we got the drums. Did you put him in the bathtub?
These are just jokes, by the way.
These
like
are just jokes. But if you have daughters and you're a father, you know what we mean.
Yeah, for sure.
But what is this? So what is this tour you're on? Well, give us the soup to nuts on that.
Yeah, so last year, I discovered a comic by the name TJ. He's a Haitian comic, all around good guy. But I discovered him on Don't Tell Comedy, plug I guess, and because I discovered so many comics on there, and I saw his set, and you know he's Haitian. He lives in New York, and his energy, his jokes, just everything was just on point, and I became a fan immediately. But also mostly because I relate to him coming from Zimbabwe and doing comedy here in Europe and trying to hopefully make it in America as well. I just connected, right? And so I looked him up, followed him, and just became a fan. And I looked for more stuff as you would when you discover a new artist, right? And so I listened to one of his specials, and this is like a month before I got an ad that he was doing. He was on a tour here in Europe, and he's not like like super famous. He's got like 30-something thousand followers on Instagram, right? But I think he's more popular than that for sure, and should be, rightfully so. But anyway, so I was like, oh shoot. Like, I was just listening to his special, and I got the ad on Instagram, and I was like, I definitely got to go see him, And it was March 31st that he was doing this show here in Copenhagen. I hadn't checked the details as to where. And funny enough, the day before the show, it was Saturday, Saturday night. 30th of March, I think it was, and I met up one of the comics, Evan. He invited me out for drinks. He's like, hey, let's talk comedy. Let's grab some drinks. I was like, I bet I'm free. We're having drinks, and I get a call from Ira, one of the comics, right, and I knew he was drunk.
Shout out to Ira.
Shout out to Ira. I knew he was drunk. He's like, I'm just out here. I can't remember where he said they were coming from. And he's like, oh, if you're in the city, let's link up, let's have drinks. I was like, I bet. I'm with Evan. Where are you guys heading off to? So it's like, I'm forgetting the name. He sends me the location. So Evan and I, we leave. We go to this bar, meet up with Ira. And so we link up with him, and we linked up with him, and then he says, TJ might be coming by to this club tonight for drinks. I was like, the comedian? And he's like, yeah, he's got a show at No Stress tomorrow. And, for those of you that don't know, No Stress is a comedy club here that we frequent, all right? Yes. And I was like, he's coming to home turf, And so I was like, oh, shit. He said he's going to come by. So I was like, That's Hollywood talk. Because I was just so used to, because I met so many celebrities where it's like, you know, they're cool when they're in your city and when you talk to them, but they give you a lot of this. The Hollywood talk is from like, what's it called? Martin Lawrence,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Martin Payne, the episode where about Varnell or some shit like that. But anyway, so and TJ pops by. And I'm like, dude, like I literally just recently became a fan of this dude, and here he is. So, and we had drinks with him that night, and he was super cool. And I even told him, I was like, dude, like I was literally like, like listening to your special like a couple of days ago, and I told him I discovered him on Don't Tell and all that. So we connected. The next day, I went to the show, and I was mind blown not only by the set because he's brilliant, but he has a different type of energy. And I don't think anybody's ever really spoken about this um, or told him, but you can definitely feel it. He has a different type of energy.
Mm.
And you can't ignore it, right? He has this presence, right? He has a lot of stage presence, but his words seem to carry more weight than I think he understands. But I was mind blown. I was like, wait, like he sold out this venue, and we, had a great time and whatnot. And he's on the road, and I thought he was gonna be here with someone else, on the tour or whatever, and it was just him
Wow.
doing his tour is called Colonizing Europe.
I
It
gotta
was
love
good. It was a
that.
good one. And so and from Denmark, he was going to Sweden next, I think it was, and then a couple of other Scandinavian cities and countries, whatnot. And but seeing him fill up that room and be that profound, and people, lining up to talk to him. We live in we're doing comedy in Denmark, and as much as I love the scene in Denmark, it's not it doesn't inspire you. You don't see people that, unless they're visiting comics, you don't see people that will really inspire you in a way that like traveling comics can, because it's easy to get complacent or whatever, and just not think further than this place. When I saw TJ traveling and doing his thing and whatnot, um, I was like, man, it's possible.
Mm.
It's possible. And I remember he said that it was his first year that he's managed to live off comedy and pay his bills and stuff like that. And and he just kind of like gave me that spark,
Mm.
And then he moved on to the next city and the next city, and just kept doing his thing. And the funny thing is, he does the type of comedy I actually always wanted to do. The type of comedy I do here in Denmark, I think it's helped me learn different aspects of comedy and things that I want to do. But anyway, I talked to him, I think like a week after he was done with his tour, and I was like, I gave him a call, and he picked up, and so I was curious to learn how this goes, how the game goes, how to get booked in New York. I already knew some things, but I didn't know how much work, and how it works now, rather. And he gave me a lot of game, and I was like, I bet, I was like, it's time to work. But unfortunately, that was around about the time that my mom was getting worse. And
Yeah.
then I had to, I think a week after that, a week and a half after that call, in April, it was like mid-April, I had to travel to Ireland and then be with my mom in hospital and this and that. And then April 28th, she passed away. And then, we had the funeral and all that. And then I came back, and I was, I wasn't doing comedy from like, for months, and then grieving and then traveling and all that. And then when I came back from Zimbabwe, because we had to go take her stuff back home. Came back from Zim, went on vacation with my girl and her family and our daughter, and came back. and it was go time. And I was like, I had to start doing comedy again to get through the grieving process
Of course.
because I couldn't just be at home, not doing anything. And also, is what my mom like. She would have just told me like, "Hey, dude, like just get back on stage." Like I like my mom's type of humor. And she'd be like, "I am dead already. Like, so what are you still fucking with? Go to work. You got a daughter to take care of. Take care of. Go take care of my granddaughter." So, and then I got back on stage, and it was Jeff Bond asked me to do Comedy Zoo in August. And so I went to do Comedy Zoo, and I wasn't even prepared. I even like I had to bring back like old jokes because he asked me like a few days before. So and I'm coming from months of not doing comedy and grieving and all that. So I just pulled out an old set. But we had a great show, and then I slowly got back into it. But that I'll never forget. Like losing my mom made me not give a fuck anymore. And that's when my material changed. That's when I didn't give a fuck who laughed and who didn't. That's when I started going in on, like
Shock and awe.
yeah. It was kind of like it wasn't not necessarily shock and awe, but it was more like I'm gonna tell you the truth of the joke. The truth that has to do with the joke. So whether you like it or not, it's still truth though. The whole like fuck around and find out shit. That's when I started doing the fuck around and find out. Why people shit jokes and this and that.
The sharks.
The sharks and all that stuff. Talking about the astronauts being stuck in space and how like I just started going in without giving a fuck. I didn't care anymore about who laughs, who doesn't, because I was like, oh, life is too short anyway, type thing. So, and that's when everything changed. Funny enough, like a new energy was around me, and but it was more like I was now like I'm trying to I was trying to like kind of like, or maybe I still am. I'm trying to outwork the time. You know what I mean? Like, so, and in mind, I'm keeping in mind seeing TJ on tour.
Yeah.
I still had that like inspiration, and he had told me like, if you're in New York, let me know. I'll be in New York in end of September or something like that. And I'll be there for a week. I'll show you around and this and that, and we can go to the clubs together, blah blah. So I remember I tried to make that happen. My brother lives in Jersey, and I remember we tried to make that happen. Paperwork didn't come through fast enough, and so I didn't get to make the trip before he had to leave New York.
Yeah.
So it was pointless for me to go if he wasn't going to be in New York at the time. So. And then that's when, and it then turned out that it was a good thing that I didn't go, because that's when I had this show that changed my perspective on my comedy and myself. That's when I gained a new confidence. And
Where was that show?
the Christiania night.
Oh yeah.
The first time I did shark attack jokes at
Yeah.
Christiania, because they given me 7 minutes, 5 to 7, and I did 7, and but it was, how people were after the gig. Like, people tell me, oh, like, you're really funny, blah, blah. That gave me, like, very, like, a renewed confidence. And since that time, I've just been on go. And I had said to myself, end of December, I started getting this, like, something was telling me in my spirit, like, very loudly, get the fuck out of Denmark.
Yeah.
Leave. And it made me so uncomfortable. Like I was so uneasy. Like people didn't understand why, because like, yo, I gotta leave. Yeah. I gotta leave. And so beginning of the year, I'd promised myself that I'm gonna go on the road and travel, like doing comedy. So, and then one day I just woke up and I just applied for spots, paid gigs, spotlight gigs, headline gigs, open mics all over different countries in Europe. And I just started getting responses. and like some of them, of course, like you go to their site or whatever, you got to send them your profile pictures and your profiles, and send them links to your stuff and your Instagram, whatnot. So they saw some of my stuff, sent them some links to some YouTube videos, and then I got booked. And so before you know it, I had all these gigs in different countries, right? Different dates, different countries, and they were still like coming in. Like some would be like, I'd get confirmed for some, like 5 days later or 6 days. I was like, oh shit, it's another city. And so it's not a tour where I'm selling my own tickets for my own show, but it's a tour where I'm performing my material at other shows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whether it's an open mic or it's like a spotlight at the comedy clubhouse in Barcelona or whatever, and I'm getting 15 minutes here and I'm getting 12 minutes here, but it's material from the special that I'm going to shoot at the end of it, because I don't have a mentor. You know what I mean? I don't have anybody taking me under their wing to teach me and guide me or whatever the fuck. Nobody's going, dude, you funny, like, come on tour with me, like open up for me and learn how to tour, how this goes.
You don't have an Obi-Wan.
We don't, exactly. So I don't got no big bros. So I was like, listen, fuck it. Like I learned from working in a warehouse that some people gatekeep so much if they like you got to steal the information.
Exactly.
You got to steal the knowledge. So I was like, fuck it. If nobody's going to teach me, I'll go learn myself. So when I got all these dates and I put them, I wrote all the dates down, I was like, wait a minute, like this is exactly what a tour is just without me selling my own tickets for an entire hour show. So that's how it turned out to be a tour. Because no matter how anybody, including myself, looks at it, I'm still a tourist in that city.
Yeah.
Who's doing comedy in that city. It is a fucking tour, And like luckily some of these gigs I'm getting paid for them, it's still like it's not of course the same as money you would make if you're selling out tickets for your own gig, but I was like, I want to go make connections at these clubs. I want to meet other comics. I want to see comics who are better than me. I want to be inspired. And, so that's how all of this came to be about. And I always was like, and the tour is called Open to Closure because I am open to finding out if I'm funny or not to everybody else. That's what I wanted to find out. Like, do I really got this the way I think I do? Do I have potential in this? And is this what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life? Because, like I said, like I never, like initially, like I did comedy for many years as a hobby. Even when I started, I never thought like, oh, I'm gonna be a comedian. Like I wanted to do music and acting and making films, and I wanted to be just in the entertainment industry. But I never thought that I would be focusing on comedy. And when everything else didn't pan out, I remember doing comedy because I was like, oh, I'm waiting for this to work or to be in the right space for music. I got to keep creating. I keep getting jokes. I keep getting ideas. I got to keep working. I got to keep, doing this. And when I decided to start doing comedy again because I was waiting for everything else to work out, everything just started working out with comedy.
Mm-hmm. The stars aligned.
I'm like, what the, like, this is what I was asking for with everything else I was doing.
And now I'm leaving this place and now it's going so well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's the fuck around and find out with the cosmos. Those whatever beings up there going, huh?
Yeah. Yo, you thought.
You thought.
Oh, you thought.
You thought. Well, think again.
Yeah, man. So.
How you like them apples?
If that,
he's got a sense of humor.
Something that my daughter did to me. Reminds me of something my daughter said to me the other day. I made this like heart, right? Like we're doing like arts and crafts, whatever, and I made something for her mom, and then she made something for me, and her mom made something for her, and then she broke what I made for her mom, and then she goes, "Here you go, Daddy, I broke it." And then as she's walking away, she literally says, "Have fun with that." She's 2.5 years old.
She's jealous.
She's 2.5 years, and her mom burst out laughing because we couldn't believe that what she did. She's like, I broke it. And she's walking around, she goes, have fun with that. I was like, what?
Yeah, because daddy fixes everything. Exactly.
Have fun with that. It's like, I broke it, have fun with it. So that was, yeah, but yeah, that was my fuck around and find out moment, you know. And so that's how this tour came to be. Like, I just have a whole bunch of shows scheduled. And I'm performing at open mics, at clubs that I was like, damn, I've always wanted to perform here, even if it's an open mic, because that's the easiest mic to get is an open mic, right? Everything else, and some of the gigs, I'm getting people are flying me to their gig, paying for travel accommodation and paying me for the gig. So it's just a mix of different types of shows. But yeah, I'm grateful for it because I'm learning how to tour. I'm learning how much fun it is. How it's so much fun, man. It's so much fun, and how expensive it is.
Oh yeah.
So I'm learning that too.
You become frugal after a trip like that.
Yeah. But the good thing about doing these kinds of shows is that you meet so many people, and I learned that from TJ as well. Like, you meet so many people that will help you when you come back for the next show. They also, the network, and they know people. If you need to sell out at a bigger venue, somebody's like, yeah, I know a guy, I know. So you're making all these connections, whereas, sometimes people are skeptical to help. I've had people just not respond to emails, and these guys are bookers. Not bookers, sorry. Yeah, they are bookers, but they're in charge of, theaters. And you're like, hey, like, I've got, you try to organize an actual big show, not just for me, but for another comedian who's bigger than you. And they just horrible with communication. But I'll bet you, if you know them in person, you've met them, and you have their phone number, they're going to pick up, right? So I was like, I want to travel. I want to, network, meet people, and get some game. And also, like, I met so many great people in Nijmegen.
In Holland?
Yeah, and Groningen and in Barcelona when I was at the Comedy Clubhouse. And shout out to John. John's doing like amazing work over there. And they just opened up another one. Like, it's just meeting all these people. Jamie, Bruno, Sharon. I met so many great people over there as well. And then, even audience members who sometimes end up becoming friends,
Mm-hmm.
And I just met so many cool people, man. And it's literally now, and every single time I get to a city, I'm like, now I see why you were telling me to leave, why I had that feeling, why it was so loud and so bold, and it made me uncomfortable. I'd be up at night, can't sleep because I'm just being told, leave, get up and leave with the comedy. So
that's what Denmark is. It's a small town mentality. It's a nation of what? I think they've just passed 6 million, or was it 7 million or something?
Yeah,
This is a village.
Yeah.
I mean, and everything is it's like one of those homes where toddlers can roam free because all the corners are protected.
And you can leave babies outside.
Yeah, you can leave babies outside. You can fall and you won't get hurt. You're padded and protected. Yeah. So this is a great place to learn to learn your way around in the beginning in the toddler stage. True. But as soon as you start getting bigger, and you always said to me, you should be in New York. You should be in New York.
I've said that, and I believe that, and I still stand by it.
One day I will. One day I will. I'm gonna go to Asia, and if you need spots in Malaysia and stuff like that, you call me.
I do.
I will hook you up. I will make you. You will get a full spot, and they will think you are funny.
Will they understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
You can go all rush hour on them.
Boy,
it's like, wow, is the light on me or on you? Because y'all squinting.
I didn't say that, he did. Okay,
I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to. Of course. It's called yellow privilege.
My God, hey, gotta use it, man. Gotta use it.
God.
But yeah, man. And will you be pursuing comedy?
I will.
Full time at some point.
I don't know that question because I used to have that dream when I was younger with music because it was really promising. There were really a lot of steps where just that little correction to the left could have meant really big things, and almost there. And I got to see the industry as the snake as it is. I got to cut through the Kardashian outer and see the cancer on the inside.
Yeah.
and when you see that, you get jaded and dark.
Yeah.
And when
I
you
know what you mean.
and when you talk about, oh, this booker of this theater just never got me back. I know what
you know what I'm talking about.
I know what the mechanics are behind that. Where that person has read your mail and that person could literally say, fuck that dude.
Yeah.
And you get to see that from that end, and that kind of put me where I started doing this as a cathartic type thing.
Yeah.
It was one of those things, you know how everybody, oh, my friend said I was funny when we were at the bus stop or sitting at the stoop, and then I was telling stupid jokes, and then the whole accent thing just took off and that, and then I was like, okay, let's do this. This is fun. I'm having fun. I don't really have the expectations, but you know, things tickle me here and there, and this conversation has definitely tickled me in the correct direction.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, it'd be great. But I've also tried to shoot for the stars, and when they say you shoot for the moon, you will land amongst the stars. No, if you shoot for the moon and you miss, you end up in the vast nothingness of space. And I seen that Sandra Bullock movie.
They're like that which don't kill you make you stronger. No, it'll leave you fucked up.
It'll leave you fucked up.
If you're lucky, you'll get stronger. But most people they're fucked up, right?
Do you know what a vegetable is? It's like the people that say there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Yeah, no,
bad fashion.
Those are people who've never lived in Tornado Alley. You got clothing to protect you against a tornado? Yeah, it's called an anchor. But see, I mean, all that, and I will. But I love this podcasting thing too. I love talking, the long conversation with people.
Yeah.
I just love talking to people. I love getting the info and learning and having interesting people that I care about and that I respect. Maybe not care about, but if there's someone really interesting I get to speak to. I mean, I've had an Afghan veteran on here with the stories about him just stone cold looking me in the eye and telling me about the handful of, or 3 handfuls of people that he unalived.
Wow.
And, you know, and just looking me deadpan straight in the face. And I just went,
Wow.
And I had a very established knife maker. I like this, but comedy, definitely. I know I have the jokes and I know I have the presence to do so. I just need that discipline. I need a good whipping.
You know what you need?
What do I need, Obi-Wan? Do or do not. There is no try.
And first of all, like, I'm just saying it for the sake of saying it just because it's true. But at the end of the day, I also believe in not telling people, or not advising people to, like, you know, pursue a dream, because it might not be their dream like that, you know, or trying to convince everybody, like, no, you got it. Like, I've learned to not do that, right? But I will say, one thing I've learned over time, which is why I'm on this tour as well. It's hard to attain it's hard for people to attain or even try to reach for something they've never experienced.
Exactly.
That's why you'll find, oftentimes when people do their research or whatever, they'll find out that, oh, you know, this actor who ended up becoming the most famous actor was a security guard for an actor, or they were a bouncer at a club. And, like, for example, what's his name? Idris Elba. He was around celebrities. He saw, you know, like, he felt that life, even though he was a bouncer at a comedy club, and, you know, he knows all these comedians and whatnot just before he made it. You'll see, like, people like Ben Stiller in you know, is that guy with that small role in a really big film, and he went on to be a movie star. Like, it's hard for people to attain something they've never experienced. That's why you got to go test drive a car that you really like but can't afford, and other people will never even bother or think about going to test drive because they're like, oh, I would never attain that. But once you go experience it, and you're sitting in that car, it's easier to visualize yourself driving it or having it. And yeah, like, and for me, like, I remember seeing the different types of fame. I've seen Wood Harris in the mall.
Mm.
I saw Usher, or he actually came into the store. Into the store I was working at when I was working at G Star in Cape Town, South Africa, and he was on tour, the Climax tour, and I saw how these girls were like they literally pissed themselves like
Yeah,
by
yeah.
our door, like we had to close doors and stuff, and you know like it was wild. It was wild, and I remember how people were going crazy when Denzel Washington was in the mall, and how different the levels of fame are.
Yeah.
One had more respect. The other was everybody's just going wild, people screaming and shut down. So, but just seeing those things while being entertainment, you're experiencing things that come with that territory and this and that. So, what you need, I'm on tour right now because, like I said, because of TJ. Just when I saw that and I felt that and experienced that, I was like, I gotta go on the road, you know, because I experienced that. What you need is to have similar experiences based off, or that rather have to do with what you would like to get out of comedy. So this is why I was like, you got to go to New York. Even if you go there for a week and you buy tickets to shows, right, and you go to these clubs and watch these guys in action and be around that life, whatever. I think, and even do some mic here and there. I think that you would change your perspective.
Yeah,
Because
I agree on
here
that.
we don't have that.
No, no, no.
You know what I mean? Like we're not experiencing that. Like there are very few comics that you know. I'm like, I watch them. I'm like, even when the ones that I do admire, that's it ends there. I'm like, man, you know, I want to be as good as they are, but nobody's making me go like, damn, like, man, like I feel it in my spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, but. And that's the thing as well, like knowing the machine and the entertainment industry in general, how it is. Like a friend of mine, a comic, said, I just want to build my little home in my little corner in this industry. I'm not asking for much. I just want to put out my art and build my own little home in this corner. You guys can have the rest. And that's kind of like the same approach I've always had.
Be humble.
Where, be humble about it, but also it's like you can only get so much out of it, right? If you can make a living and you actually enjoy telling these jokes and making people laugh, and you have these perspectives. Like one of my the I think the best joke I have right now is literally because I was watching TV with my girl, my daughter, and I said something, and she burst out laughing. She's like, make that a bit. And the next day I was like, you really think I should? She's like, listen, I'm telling you, you got to make that. That's a good bit. And that's the best joke I have right now. It's been shutting down every single time. And now I don't want to be stuck in places where I have a very good joke. I really want the world to hear this, but I can't, or I'm not on the road, or I'm not doing comedy anymore, or not as often, right? So for me, I'm like, well, wait a minute. If I can tell them a good joke and make a living off it, you know, that's all I want. I just want to be able to make a living. You can keep the 50 million. I just want to be able to make a living, sustain my existence and my family's existence, and that's it.
Doing what you love.
That's it. That's it. Nothing more. Like, because I've worked all the shitty jobs, bro. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, standing in front of people and telling them jokes and them having a great time and getting paid for it. Listen, like I would do that any day of the week.
Of course, man.
You know what I mean? So that's the thing. But yeah, a huge part of, you know, even trying to do this or anything really that you're pursuing that's your own is you always have to you just have to be persistent, man, you know, because there will come a time where you feel like, oh, fuck this, man, like I'm gonna, you know, I feel like giving up, or, you know, when my time gonna come and this and that.
Waiting for handouts.
Yeah, maybe not necessarily waiting for handouts, but even you just putting in so much work to make it work for yourself because you're not asking for handouts. And you're like, oh, man, something's got to give at some point. But right now, I'm just deflated. You know, maybe I've been going on too strong for too long, right?
Yeah.
What will happen is even when you want to give up or you feel like giving up, the dream won't allow you. You'll find yourself back on stage. You're like, what the fuck? I thought I quit. I thought I quit my subconscious. I thought I quit. Like you find yourself. The dream will carry you through those times where your energy can't. You know what I mean? Even just your heart is like, man, listen. Like I'm still haven't gone as far as I want to. You might have improved as a performer.
Yeah.
And you're still like, I know I'm great, but nobody's, like, what good is it, if nobody else knows it but me? And everybody else just won't see me. People look at me, but they're not seeing me, though.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
that's that whole white man can't jump bit. Yeah, man, you listen to Jimi Hendrix. Do you hear Jimmy? Can you hear him?
That's it.
It's you can listen all you want, but if you don't hear it, is that what you kind of want to leave us on? Is that is the whole persistence and
yeah, man. Like if I don't know how long we've been at it.
It feels like 15 minutes. We've been an hour and a half.
Oh shoot, for real? Oh wow.
Yeah, see? I just let you ramble on.
And you know me, like if you let me listen, we'll be talk. I'll talk your ears off,
hey,
man.
We're doing this again.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's what I say. You know what? That's the best place to leave it at or to leave it on because I'm trying to practice what I preach. So I'm trying to be persistent. I'm trying to be consistent, and trying to be pragmatic. And I literally, me going on this tour, I bet on myself. I really bet on myself because this is like the tour before the tour. This is like, that's why it's also called like the prelude to fame, because I feel like, because when I go back on the road next year, I'm selling tickets. Like I'm doing my own shows, and I bet on myself. I'm shooting my special at the end of this run, and then I'm gonna go on the road next year with a new hour. With everything, impersonations, thinkers, different perspectives, and everything. I've been learning so much about different cities on this road.
Your entire toolbox will be prepared and ready.
Yes.
That is good.
Yes. So, and yeah, I'm just trying to be persistent and it's by faith, right? It's by faith, not by sight.
If you manifest it, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. So, but yeah, I definitely want you inspired as well. Like,
oh, you always.
I want you to have that. I want you to have that experience that'll make you go, okay, Dave, I see what you were talking about this whole time. I see what you were talking about. Like it'll give you a different drive, bro. Like it'll shift you in a different gear. Man.
I don't just listen to you. I hear you. And on that note, Dave, say goodbye.
Peace.
Bam Bam out.